In this module, we shall discuss about the appreciative inquiry. After studying this module, you shall be able to understand the meaning of appreciative inquiry, learn the principles of appreciating inquiry, know the method of appreciative inquiry. According to Gervase R. Bush 2013, appreciative inquiry AI is a method for studying and changing social systems, groups, organizations, communities that advocates collective inquiry into the best of what is in order to imagine what could be, followed by collective design of a desired future state that is compelling and thus does not require the use of incentives, coercion or persuasion for planned change to occur. Developed and extended since the mid-1980s primarily by students and faculty of the Department of Organizational Behavior at Case Western Reserve University, AI revolutionized the field of organization development and was a precursor to the rise of positive organization studies and the strengths-based movement in American management. The original 1987 article by David Copperrider and Suresh Srivastava argued that the overuse of problem solving reduced the ability of managers and researchers to come up with new theories and models of organizing. Taking a social constructionist approach which argues that organizations are created, maintained and changed by conversations, they pointed out that our methods of organizing were only limited by people's imaginations and the agreements among them. Now, we will discuss about the fundamentals of appreciative inquiry. The appreciative inquiry model assumes that human mind is creative and can work out imaginative solutions for any given problem. In order to resolve a problem, it is not right to just use force and coercion to bring about a change. Rather, it is better to promote innovation and creation by appreciating what is right and good and investigating better options. Thus, it is important to engage employees in an organization rather than pursue them. Moving on to discuss about the principles of appreciative inquiry. Copperrider and Dinah Whitney published a set of 5 principles which are as follows. First, Constructionist Principle proposes that what we ought to believe to be true determines what we do, and thought and action emerge from relationships. Through the language and discourse of day-to-day interactions, people co-construct the organizations they inhabit. The purpose of inquiry is to stimulate new ideas, stories and images that generate new possibilities for action. For example, let's say you have been asked to facilitate a workshop on consumer complaints. You could pull a group together and say, we need to do an analysis of customer complaints. Or you could invite them to inquire into stories of delighting the customer. The latter is more likely to open us up to new ways of knowing. A much quoted statement about the Constructionist Principle is, the way of knowing is fateful. As we become more conscious of the language we use, the conversation we take part in and the stories we tell ourselves, we notice how they impact and shape us. For this reason, if we seek to change the culture, we need to change the language we use and the stories we tell ourselves and others. Second is Simultaneity Principle proposes that as we inquire into human systems, we change them and the seeds of change. The things people think and talk about, what they discover and learn are implicit in the very first questions asked. Questions are never neutral. They are fateful and social systems move in the direction of the questions they most persistently and passionately discuss. For example, we are likely to receive different responses from the following two questions. First, how was work today? And second, what's the best thing that happened at work today? The first question usually elicits a response such as okay, not bad, fine. The second question focuses the attention on the best thing that happened, and the conversation opens up and will head in a totally different direction. There is also a different energy experienced in the two different responses. The first one is likely to be neutral and the second one is likely to be more energized. Third is Poetic Principle. Proposes that organizational life is expressed in the stories people tell each other every day, and the story of the organization is constantly being co-authored. The words and topics chosen for inquiry have an impact far beyond just the words themselves. They invoke sentiments, understandings, and worlds of meaning. In all phases of the inquiry, effort is put into using words that point to, enliven, and inspire the best in people. A metaphor here is that human organizations are a lot more like an open book than, say, a machine. An organization's story is constantly being co-authored. Moreover, past, present, or futures are endless sources of learning, inspiration, or interpretation, precisely like, for example, the endless interpretative possibilities in a good piece of poetry or a biblical text. The important implication is that we can study virtually any topic related to human experience in any human system or organization. We can inquire into the nature of alienation or joy, enthusiasm or low morale, efficiency or excess in any human organization. There is not a single topic related to organization life that we could not study in any organization. Fourth is Anticipatory Principle. It posits that what we do today is guided by our image of the future. Human systems are forever projecting ahead of themselves a horizon of expectation that brings the future powerfully into the present as a mobilizing agent. Appreciative inquiry uses artful creation of positive imagery on a collective basis to refashion anticipatory reality. The infinite human resource which we have for generating constructive organizational change is our collective imagination and discourse about the future. One of the basic theorems of the anticipatory view of organizational life is that it is the image of the future which in fact guides what might be called the current behavior of any organism or organization. Much like a film projector on a screen, human systems are forever projecting ahead of themselves a horizon of expectation. In their talk, in the metaphors and language they use, this brings the future powerfully into the present as a mobilizing agent. Fifth is Positive Principle. This last principle is not so abstract. It grows out of years of experience with appreciative inquiry. Most simply, it is our experience that for building and for sustaining change momentum, large amounts of positive effect and social bonding are necessary. Things like hope, excitement, inspiration, caring, camaraderie, sense of urgent purpose and sheer joy in creating something meaningful together. What we have found is that the more positive the question we ask in a work, the more long lasting and successful the change effort will be. It does not help, we have found, to begin our inquiries from the standpoint of the world as a problem to be solved. We are more effective the longer we can retain the spirit of inquiry of the everlasting beginner. The major thing we do that makes the difference is to craft and seed in better, in more catalytic ways the unconditional positive question. It proposes that momentum and sustainable change requires positive effort and social bonding. Sentiments like hope, excitement, inspiration, camaraderie, and joy increases creativity, openness to new ideas and people, and cognitive flexibility. They also promote the strong connections and relationships between people, particularly between groups in conflict required for collective inquiry and change. Next, we shall discuss the appreciative inquiry method. In the late 1990s, the 4D model emerged and has become strongly associated with AI. This model identifies 4 phases in AI that occur after the affirmative topic is chosen. These stages are as follows. First, discovery. In this phase, we try to discover what is best in the affirmative topic. Employees are interviewed and asked to share the positive experiences and data is collected. During this stage, participants reflect on and discuss the best of what is concerning the object of inquiry. Most often, and this appears to be a key innovation of the AI method, participants are interviewed about their own best of stories. For example, tell me about the time a business most inspired fanatical loyalty in you. Another important innovation has been to have organizational members and stakeholders act as both interviewers and interviewees. That is, to fully engage all affected parties in the act of inquiry itself. Telling and listening to meaningful personal stories is considered central to creating widespread engagement and building relationships in the early stage of the change process. The affirmative topic is turned into a question. For example, how do companies inspire fanatically loyal customers? And answers stimulated by these stories are identified and shared. Second, dream. In this phase, team members are asked to envision how they would like the situation to be. So the output is mission statement or graphical representations. During this stage, participants are asked to imagine their group, organization or community at its best in relation to the affirmative topic. An attempt is made to identify the common aspirations of system members and to symbolize this in some way. The dream phase often results in something more symbolic, like a graphical representation than a mission statement. Third, design. As the future state has been decided, now it is important to decide how to achieve that state of affairs. So, in this stage, structures, relationships are designed. With a common dream in place, participants are asked to develop concrete proposals for the new organizational state. Initially, Copperrider called these provocative propositions, a phrase linked to generative theory that still appears in some models. More commonly, social architecture processes are employed where a model of design elements is used to identify categories for participants to organize around and create change proposals, often called possibility statements or design statement. Fourth, delivery destiny. In this stage, the implementation of design helps in achievement of dream and sustaining it, although it is a possibility that all that is expected might not happen. In the initial 4D model, the fourth stage was called delivery, but this was subsequently changed by Copperrider to destiny as he found that delivery evoked images of traditional change management implementation. Exactly what ought to happen in this phase has provoked the most confusion and the least consensus amongst AI theorists who recognize that using the outcomes of design to create new targets, gaps to fill and objectives to achieve may be counter to the very philosophy of appreciative inquiry. The most innovative applications have taken an improvisational as opposed to implementation approach. Widespread agreement for the design statements are sought. An event is orchestrated where participants make self-chosen commitments to take action consistent with any design element, and leadership makes clear that there will be no action plans or committees. Instead, everyone is authorized to take those actions they believe will help bring the design to fruition. Leadership's role is to monitor and support those innovations they want to nurture and create events and processes to energize emergent and self-organizing change. Many different approaches to AI have been identified, ranging from interventions where a sole consultant or a small representative group of people do the AI on behalf of a larger group of people, to those where most or all of the whole system is engaged in the 4D process in a compressed time span. The majority of published studies of transformational change have been of the latter variety, leading to an increasing emphasis in the AI literature on widespread, synchronous engagement as central to successful AI change efforts. One particular variant, the Appreciative Inquiry Summit, has become the most often advocated form of engagement, ideally a 4-day event in which all system members complete all 4 phases. There are some voices, however, that caution against seeing AI as an event, however large scale, and argue that it is more effective to think of AI as a long-term process punctuated by events. They suggest that as much or more change comes from daily interactions at work as people discuss the inquiry, trade stories, and are impacted by new conversations, as it does from new ideas or plans. Now, let us move on to the importance of appreciative inquiry. AI has had a profound impact on organization development practice around the world in business, non-profit and governmental organizations as well as communities. AI produces transformational change without crisis or burning platforms. Hundreds of significant appreciative inquiries have been documented and described at conferences, in journals and books, in the AI Practitioner, a quarterly magazine, and through the Appreciative Inquiry Commons, a website. Some outstanding examples include the use of AI to create the United Nations Global Compact, Imagine Chicago, an AI-inspired community development process copied around the world, Walmart's use of AI for its global sustainability initiatives, and the US Navy, which created a Center for Positive Change and has run a dozen or so large-scale appreciative inquiries. Empirical assessments of AI are limited, but are more plentiful than for most organizational change strategies. There is a growing body of longitudinal and critical research that is identifying, moderating, and mediating conditions that affect how AI is best done and under what conditions, opportunities, and limitations. AI does not magically overcome any of the requirements for effective leadership, resourcing, and skill facilitation of any other organization development or large group intervention. Its unique significance has been in bringing social constructionist theory into widespread consideration in managerial practice, identifying the power of possibility-centric versus problem-centric change strategies, forcing an examination of the impact of positive emotions on change processes, and offering generatively instead of problem solving as a way to address social and organizational issues. It is a positive way of bringing what organization change. Let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. AI is a positive model for organization change. There are 5 basic principles of AI: constructionist, simultaneity, poetic, anticipatory, and positive. 4D model of AI has 4 phases: discover, dream, design, and deliver. AI is important as it recognizes the positives and delve on them to achieve better results. Thank you.